Buff Nation, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Today, wanted to give you three names of guys that I have as the most approved this year in 2024. I want to know your three. This is in no particular order, but these are three guys that I got my eyes on. And maybe this might surprise some of you guys on the first player we're going to talk about. You might say, Dave, you really got him on this list? And yes, that is because one, he is my favorite player on this team. And two, I feel like, I know I hold him to a higher standard because I feel like he's the best player we got on our team. Who might that be, you ask? Well, let's go ahead and get to it. It is Shedeur Sanders. Absolutely. Let me move my face out of this. You might say, Dave, why do you got Shedeur on this list? He broke pretty much like every single season school record last year. Yes, but there still is a little bit of a conversation around, is Shedeur truly that undisputed number one overall pick? Some people like Carson Beck. Some people like Quinn Ewers. Maybe there'll be another quarterback that gets into the equation. It's early, right? I want Shedeur to round out his game, to take another step this year and truly silence any of the detractors, any of the naysayers, or any of the people that would just prefer Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers over him, right? There are some things where I think he does, or where he excels at in the college game, rather, that being his accuracy, his ball placement. I think he has good mechanics. I want to see him be a little bit more consistent with his mechanics, consistent with his footwork this year. And I think that he can still do a little bit better of a job on navigating the pocket. Again, I think we saw it's hard to still navigate the pocket well when you've been hit so much during the first half of the season. And my hope is that this year we're not going to see that with him, because overall he's not going to be seeing ghosts with having a line that I expect that he's going to trust a lot more, and they will have earned that trust, right? But there are also some things where we saw Shedeur take some 50-50 shots and some one-on-one coverage with Zay Weaver and the opposing top cornerback, going away from shorter routes or options he had on other parts of the field to where we had a numbers advantage. I don't know if that was his decision or just by play design. I think Pat Shurmur, though, is going to play more towards this, to where he's getting the ball out of Shedeur's hands way faster and getting the ball in the hands of our playmakers to start making that yak. So overall, I think that he is a plus decision maker, but I think there still is room to grow in his decision making as a whole, particularly getting rid of the football. Again, only 3 interceptions last year. That was great, but this is something that I've talked about all off season long. The greats, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, heck, even Patrick Mahomes, they've always taken what's been given to them from the defense, and if a play breaks down very quickly, they are not afraid to just scrap it, to throw that ball out of bounds and move on. I want to see some of that maturity from Shedeur this year. And I think if he does those things, one, we're going to win a lot of games. And two, pretty much any of the detractors to his game were saying like, hey, this is what he's really got to work on. There's not going to be any glaring holes. And that's what I want to see. I want to see him have a season in which he is firmly above any of the other quarterbacks going into the draft this next year. I want Shedeur to be the undisputed number one pick. I have high expectations for him this year, no doubt. Now, let's move on. I think you guys will really like my last pick, but this one isn't as exciting. But let's go ahead and get to the second pick. That is our starting linebacker last year, Lavonta Bentley, transfer from Clemson. Go ahead and move this over. Transfer from Clemson, kind of struggled out the gate a little bit, but I think you saw him improve as the year went on. And maybe that's an instance where I got to give Coach Hart some credit, right? I think Lavonta Bentley coming back for I think this should be his 6th year in college football. Alongside Nikhai Hill-Green, I do expect to be our starting inside linebacker tandem. And Bentley has had some detractors, of course. I've been somebody that's been critical of Bentley in in this past year as well. But nonetheless, you can't dispute the fact that he was tied for leading our team in tackles this past year, or one below Shiloh. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was tied, though, for the total tackles on the team. And with having as much experience as he has with being an older player, I'm expecting him to have his best year of his career by far, to be that stout stopper in the run defense, and maybe grow a little bit in his coverage as well. Right now, I don't see Levonte Bentley as an NFL draft pick or somebody with a substantial NFL future. However, depending on how he plays this year, I could definitely see himself opening up a professional career in the NFL for himself down the line, depending on how he plays this year. So a lot of money's on the line for Levonte Bentley. I want to see him go get it, okay? Now, my last player with the most to prove, and this is an exciting one. I've been getting more and more excited about this one as time has gone on. Let's go ahead and get to it. It is who I'm expecting to see as our starting right tackle, Kahlil Benson, transfer from Indiana. We've talked about him a ton, but I think that throughout time, you've seen Kahlil Benson establish himself as the emotional leader of this offensive line. He's somebody that has taken his responsibility of protecting Shedeur very personally, it seems. And that's something that I love. I think we've needed somebody on this offensive line that has a little bit of that nasty edge to him, that can play with some of that attitude. And somebody who gave up no sacks last year, which is great. Of course, you've heard me, others talk about this, graded very poorly when it came to his pass protection last year. Gave up a ton of more pressures and hurries than what we had with Savion Washington last year. However, you can't dispute the fact that he still gave up no sacks. I want to see Kahlil Benson silence detractors, including myself. I want to see that so bad, and I'm excited to see how he plays. And I'll also throw in, hey, when you're throwing out merch that says "Don't touch two," hey, expectation is on you. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun seeing how he performs this year. Of course, I think he's getting fantastic coaching from Phil. All my guys know their assignments, load hole. And my expectation is that we're going to see guys develop this year. So I'm not going to freak out if Kahlil Benson, has some ups and downs. Same with Jordan Seaton throughout the first few games of the season. I want to see how these guys progress, develop, and grow throughout the season, so that when we're playing our most meaningful football games, that last four, that's a tough stretch, and it could be what determines if we get in the conference championship game or not. I want Khil Benson and Jordan Seaton to be playing their best football possible. So that is my three. I think a really exciting bunch. We have a potential Heisman candidate in Shedeur Sanders, a potential number one overall pick, Shedeur. My expectations for him are very high. We have somebody on the offensive line that has come in here with an insane amount of confidence. Now I want to see that happen on the field with protecting Shedeur, obviously. But yeah, I feel like he's established himself as a leader on this team. And Lavonta Bentley, somebody that I think has potential NFL prospects if he balls out this year. And that's what I want to see. So y'all let me know who's in year three. Thank you guys so much for your time. I will be back again soon. As always, go Buffs.